Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1431.
The garden of the world has no limits except in your mind.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hey Cars Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Covercraft. I've protected my vehicles with their products for decades. Want to keep your vehicle's interior looking new? It's easy with Covercraft seat covers. They'll protect your seats from the daily abuse of pets, children, weekend adventures, and even those everyday spills. It's a fast, easy, and inexpensive way to keep your vehicle looking new. All Covercraft seat covers are easy on, easy off design that are machine washable. You can choose from many fabric options, colors, and accessories, all designed and carefully sewn for your special vehicles. Their seat gloves are semi-custom fit for cars and trucks, and their seat savers, a favorite of mine, are custom tailored to fit your seats like a glove. Work truck seat covers are tough, durable denim weight fabric. It's like putting a pair of rugged jeans on your truck's seats. Want to stay warm? Covercraft also offers seat heaters. Covercraft is the right choice. Learn more today at covercraft.com and tell them Mark at Cars Yeah sent you. That's covercraft.com. My favorite collector car magazine is Keith Martin's Sports Car Market. I've been a subscriber for decades. Sports Car Market is the Wall Street Journal for the enthusiast and the collector. It's your monthly must-read whether you dream of owning a collector car, have 2 cars, or 200. Sports Car Market has been around for 31 years, and it's filled with valuable articles, intelligent write-ups, and the latest auction sales. Go to sportscarmarket.com and subscribe today. Plus, you'll get the exclusive SCM guide to restoration shops included for free. At checkout, use the code CARSYEAH and receive a 50% discount on your digital subscription. It's an exclusive offer from me here at Cars Yeah. I'm Mark Green, and I love Sports Car Market magazine. Hello, automotive enthusiasts. I'm revved up and so excited to introduce today's very special guest, calling in from Santa Monica, California, Mariana Small. Hey, Mariana, are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
I sure am. Thanks so much, Mark.
You bet. Mariana Small is the co-founder and COO of Accelerating Change and the president of the Porsche Club of America, the Los Angeles region. Accelerating Change creates opportunities for women to develop skills in the automotive world, from track days to educational events, networking, and so much more. In the past, she was vice president of marketing operations and branding at Confie, where she set the strategic direction and marketing and branding initiatives. Mariana earned her B.A. in International Relations and Diplomacy from Schiller International University in Heidelberg, Germany, and her M.B.A. in Foreign Commerce and Exchange from Getulio Vargas Foundation in Brazil. I think she could say it better than I did. She holds certifications in strategic IQ and strategic marketing management from Harvard Business School and is a certified private international arbiter. She speaks 5 languages and has lived in 8 countries, all continents except Antarctica. A little too cold down there, not too many places to drive your Porsche. And she's traveled to 61 countries. Here's a little fun fact about Mariana. She's also seen all 7 wonders of the world. This lady is very well traveled. Mariana, I told our listeners just a little bit about you. Before I jump into the questions, though, would you take a moment, share a little bit more about your passion for automobiles and a very unique career you've had in life?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you mentioned, I traveled around quite a bit growing up. My dad was a diplomat. He was an ambassador and head of the Middle East and Africa division of the Brazilian Ministry of Foreign Relations. And we traveled around throughout the world. And it wasn't until I moved to Brazil after getting my master's that I really got into cars. After university in Heidelberg, I spent some time in Dakar, Senegal with my dad, who was there for a temporary post, and then we moved back to Brazil. I intended to join the Foreign Service and follow my dad's footsteps, but I ended up being recruited to the Center for Strategic Studies, a government think tank of the Department of Defense, the Ministry of Science and Technology, and Brazil's national intelligence agency called ABIN. There I researched and interpreted international biotech patterns and scientific texts into Portuguese vernacular, which was used in media e-courses. And I also wrote some reports on emerging worldwide trends.
You know, this is incredible. I knew a bit about you, and I want to give a shout out to Martina Kwan because she's the one that introduced me to you. But oh my goodness, your background is really, really fascinating. You're a very smart lady too, most obviously. But you said, since we're on Cars Yeah here, you talked about kind of falling into a passion for cars, and we're going to get into that more in depth a little bit. But how did that happen, or where did that happen?
When I moved to Brazil, I ended up buying an incredible 928. And then that's what triggered, I think, the passion for both the marque and cars. And fast forward to today, I'm president of the Porsche Club of America, Los Angeles region.
Fast forward indeed. You know, the 928, that's a pretty interesting Porsche to start with. A very special car. I got to spend a day with Vic Elford way back when I was living in Southern California, the Porsche driving experience. And they were coming into town and they brought all their new models. And the 928 had just come out. And they assigned each of us to a different instructor. And I got Vic Elford, the Vic Elford. I mean, imagine that. And when we jumped in the 928, he said, well, what do you think of this car, Mark? And I said, I don't like it at all. I don't like anything about it. Front engine, it's weird looking. And he looked at me, and I'll never forget this. And he's been a guest here on the show, which is kind of fun that I got to talk to him again. And I've seen him at some events. He looked at me and he said, you're going to love this car when we're done driving it. And he was right. It's a fantastic car. Is that what you discovered?
Absolutely. Unlike you, I was drawn to the lines. I thought, the way the front dropped down was absolutely beautiful, and the rounded back. I'm not a technical person by any means. I leave that to other people who have the knowledge, but the design really, I think, is what sold me on the car. And after getting behind the wheel and going on quite a few adventures and perhaps, experiencing some autobahn speeds back in Brazil, it's just an experience you certainly don't forget easily. Yeah,
it's a pretty special car. It did grow on me, I will say. I was kind of stuck in that mindset of the 911 because that had been my car of choice forever, the 356. So that car was so radically different in so many ways. I think that's where I had a little challenge with change, but I overcame that. Well, as we continue on your journey, I always like to ask my guests for a success quote or a mantra. It's a nice way to get the inspirational tires turning here on Cars Yeah. I know you love to drive, so Mariana, take the wheel.
Sure. So my best friend introduced me to an incredible Persian poet from the 12th century called Rumi, who wrote, "The garden of the world has no limits except in your mind." So sometimes we have a vision of and for ourselves that doesn't necessarily align with the reality in which we're being directed. So, we might find ourselves fighting the direction in which we're being taken. But if we just take a moment to realize all the possibilities that we've never even imagined, we realize how much more interesting that direction really is. That's really applied to many aspects of my life, but most recently to getting involved in the automotive world. I never would have imagined that I would find among the automotive community the camaraderie, the experiences, and the opportunity I've had. And that's now a huge part of my life.
Yeah, it really is about the people. And I've said that many, many times, and many of my guests here on Cars Yeah have said that as well when it comes to Porsche Club or any car club, and I'm a member of a bunch of car clubs or events or concours events or racing, whatever. It's really more about the people. The cars just bring us there, bring us together, and let us enjoy things, but it really is about the people. But I love that quote because it reminds me so much of the concept of your mind is the only thing that's stopping you from going where you want to go. And
absolutely,
my father told me a long time ago that excuses are just the lies we tell ourselves. So I've always tried to remember that when I get a little frustrated or depressed or feel like I'm not going in the right direction, I kind of stop and go, okay, what is my brain telling me about this? Why am I focusing on the negative? I need to focus on the positive and how to get there and not the negative. So that's a really great quote. First time I've heard that here. I would love for you to share a story that instigated this passion you have for cars, and specifically Porsche, perhaps. You touched on it a little bit with the 928, but was that the pivotal moment in your life and you knew that you were going to be a car gal?
Sure. I think it all started with making some amazing friends. And, just to preface, I wouldn't consider myself a car gal in the traditional sense of the words. When I think of a car gal, I envision someone with extensive technical knowledge. which I certainly don't have. But I am a car gal in the sense of loving the automotive community because of the people. The Porsche community, I've made so many great friends and I've had so many fun experiences that I've truly come to appreciate our little community. And that ties in with what Christina and I are driving, pun intended, with accelerating change. It's not just about the engineers, the designers, or the mechanics. There's so many avenues in automotive that there's something for everyone. If you want to enjoy your car, there are ample drives. If you want to restore a car, there are infinite groups to help you do that. If you want to race, there are plenty of places to learn and become proficient. And if you want to make friends, there's no shortages of experiences to help you develop a circle that's meaningful of people, really great people for you.
Absolutely. It's great fun. And there's so many different people involved in this area. Again, you can go club racing, you can do PCA events, you can become a professional, or you can just learn how to have driver control and drive safer with your vehicles. I mean, there's so many avenues here. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. And it's great what you guys are doing as well. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to learn a lot more about this organization you're involved in. But first, I want to talk about a big challenge or a big failure that you faced. I mean, you have traveled the world. You've seen so many things. You've done so many things, worked in many different areas in your career. I would imagine you've kind of bumped up against the guardrails, against something that was a challenge. So kind of take us there. But more importantly, what was the learning lesson? And tell us how that experience helped you gain even more momentum as you move forward in your life and your career.
Sure. I think one of the big ones and most recent ones was something that happened last year. I decided to embrace the words in Rumi's writings and ponder, what limits I was creating for myself. So I took a sabbatical. I stepped back from the routines of life to gain some clarity of vision. And, taking that step back was really scary. But today, I think I'm much better and happier for it. I took on the challenge of co-founding Accelerating Change. And since Christina and I got it off the ground, we've had tremendously positive feedback from both the people participating in the events as well as the partners who are helping us bring the vision to life. So it's been really incredible.
Oh, no doubt. And I'm going to ask you a lot more about that and what you're doing in a minute. But we're going to jump into the first really special vehicle in your life. And again, you may have already answered this, the 928, but maybe there's later another car that's been really special for you. And tell us what that is or what that was and share maybe a memory or two you have about that ride.
I think I would just have to go back to the 928. So it was truly the first car with which I felt a connection. And it created so many opportunities for making memories and friends that it resonated in my life. And I think that's when I realized people can be so passionate over something as simple as a car. And it really has an incredible power to bring people together. It was a great conversation starter. And I think of all the marks I've noticed around, especially here in Southern California, where there's such a huge car culture, Porsche really brings out a variety of people who are so very passionate about the brand, about the mark, and how something as simple as the car can have such an incredible power to bring people together.
I'm always jealous because I'm active on social media, and I'm jealous of the Los Angeles area in the sense that I see so many events going on down there, especially at the new Porsche Experience Center, which is cool. I've been to the one in Atlanta. A good friend, Ray Schaefer, and past guest here, works there and invited me to visit one time, and it was fantastic. I've got to get to the one in LA. But every time I go online on the weekend, there's some event down in Los Angeles, Southern California, that's Porsche related. And I was like, I want to be there, but I'm a little far away.
Oh, well, you'll just have to come out and make a special visit. And here in LA, we're absolutely, very lucky to have so many opportunities. As you said, the Porsche Experience Center is a wonderful, wonderful place. The general manager there, Jennifer Malacarne, runs it like, nothing I've ever seen. And the team is incredible. Johnny Canavas, the chief driving instructor there, has an incredible pool of instructors from whom people can learn. And besides the Porsche Experience Center, there are quite a few different clubs. There are 5 clubs in the Los Angeles region. And the passion for Porsche is definitely very, very much alive here. You could spend every weekend of your entire year just attending Porsche events.
I know. It's absolutely incredible. Not to mention the beautiful driving roads up in the hills and so forth. Is there a vehicle you've let go that you have a bit of a seller's remorse tear in your eye about?
Well, not to be redundant, but it would be the 928.
We're back to the 928. Wow.
You see how much I had a connection with that car. But it was definitely a source of seller's remorse, and I'll explain why I use the past tense. After moving to the U.S., I ended up having to sell it, and it really broke my heart. That was my truly first special car, and it was such a great source of memories and fun times. I joke it almost felt like a pet, and having to give it up, wasn't easy. But there's a happy ending to the story. After about 10 years, a Brazilian friend of ours came to visit and told us how excited he was about finding and buying this incredible white 928, and in Brasilia, of all places. Whoa. Long story short, it was our 928.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, and my gosh.
Cross-checked the VIN number. It still had the same license plate. Wow. And so even though it's not technically mine, I feel it's still in the family, and I know it's being taken care of and enjoyed by someone who appreciates it at least as much as I had.
Oh, how cool is that? What a great story. Well, I would love for you to share a lot more about accelerating change, why you started this, what it's all about, how you're helping young women, maybe even older women, to find their way in life and figure out there's a lot of opportunities. So tell us about accelerating change.
Sure. So I'll give you a little bit of background too. So Christina and I co-founded Accelerating Change earlier this year. She and I had met at the Porsche Club of LA's Concours d'Elegance last year, where she was a guest panelist, and we became fast friends. And one of the things we both experienced was the limited engagement and participation of women in each of our environments. It's definitely majority male dominated. But the automotive community is so absolutely fantastic, and has so much to offer everyone, regardless of gender, background, or interest. So from that, Accelerating Change was born. As you said, we host track days, seminars, tech sessions, adult driving education programs, networking opportunities. And essentially, we create opportunities for women to experience something new, get more enjoyment out of their cars, and foster great friendships. The intention being that we can bring more women together to have positive experiences and make a contribution to normalizing female involvement in the industry. Christina was having an interview with you back in March of this year during our track day at Buttonwillow. We had partnered with the Porsche Club to host an all-women's track day, and it was a resounding success. And in 2 weeks, we'll also be hosting another one at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. It's a nice circle here. She was interviewed with you at that time, and now we're having this conversation just before the Atlanta trip. So
I'll remind our listeners, you can go back and listen to my talk with Christina. She was guest number 1,268. Today we're at 1,431. Her show is back in April 11th, I believe it was. So you can go back to the Cars Yeah website and find that talk with her. I think it's fantastic. In fact, a friend of mine up here in the Northwest just did a video interview with her, Jamie June, who has a interesting YouTube show about beauty and keys, I believe. I hope I got that right for you there, Jamie. And did a nice interview. They were driving around town in the car, having some fun. I think it's great what you're doing, and I know your website, you guys are working on getting that all up and running and so forth, but there's a place you can go there, and of course, we'll have a contact information at the end of the show here for you if you want to get involved with this, talk to Mariana or Christina and find out how you can be a part of this. And then let's talk a little bit about the Porsche Club of America, the Los Angeles region, where you're the president of that group. Tell me a little bit about that group down there. I know there are a bunch of rabid Porsche fanatics who get to drive their car year round. So what got you involved in wanting to be the president of this club? Because this, when you join clubs like this, it's one thing, but when you get active and you're the president, there's a lot of commitment to that.
Absolutely. And a lot more than I realized, I must admit.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's all good fun. So Porsche Club of America, Los Angeles region was established on April. Porsche Club of America, Los Angeles region was established on April 30th, 1960. So next year we will be celebrating our 60th anniversary, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have about 2,000 members throughout the Los Angeles region, and we host a variety of activities. Like you mentioned, we have drives, socials, we have a monthly breakfast. And what we're trying to do is really enhance the Porsche ownership experience. So it's not necessarily all about the technical aspect of the car. It's also about forging the camaraderie and, having fun experiences together. And that really goes back to the slogan that we've instilled in the club, which is People Porsche Experiences. Here in LA, we're very lucky. We have a huge community. So the club is really active. It's pretty fun. We always need more volunteers. So for all the listeners out there, if anyone wants to step up, we could use the help. And it really goes through with having a strong board, an active and engaged board that wants to do the best for the membership, and that's what we strive for.
Yeah, it's really fun. We have a great group up here as well, and I'm going to be speaking at our annual banquet in January. I've been invited to be the keynote speaker for that, which I'm really honored to do.
Congratulations.
Yeah. In fact, when I moved up here from Southern California 25 plus years ago, I was really worried because I grew up in Southern California down in the San Diego area, and I thought, I'm coming up here to the Northwest where it rains. Nobody's going to drive their cars. There's not going to be anybody into cars. I found it to be just the opposite. It's a very active area, a lot of people involved, and I've been involved in everything from track days to concours events and tours and all sorts of fun stuff. But yeah, the Porsche folks are fanatics, just like any other marque. They certainly love their cars and love to drive. So I think it's fantastic. And thank you as a fellow Porsche Club member, PCA member, for taking over a region and working so hard. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Mariana, up next is the last lap. Before we put the pedal to the metal, let's say thank you to today's Cars Yeah sponsors. When you want proven performance, there's one brand that's been around since 1938. That's Edelbrock, building the finest American-made performance products for the street and track. Edelbrock's products are designed and dyno-proven to deliver maximum results. Edelbrock has thousands of made-in-the-USA performance products for all makes and models. From their new AVS2 carburetor and innovative ProFlow 4 EFI for your muscle car or truck, to superchargers for your daily driver and more, visit Edelbrock.com to check out the latest products for your ride. And when you're ready to check out, enter CARS YEAH in the coupon code and get 10% off your order. That's Edelbrock, automotive performance since 1938. You take care of your cars, but who takes care of your investments? Tune-ups aren't just for engines. Updating your financial plan is important too. Your GPS may take you from A to B, but it won't help you on the road to financial freedom. For that, you need a good co-pilot and a very trusted advisor. Chris Kimball, CFP, is just the man for the job. He'll guide you down that road without driving you crazy. For over 25 years, Chris has helped people just like you and me with their financial planning and investments. With a master's degree in financial services, he is eminently qualified, and he's a car guy too. Learn more at chrisvkimball.com or call 866-ON-A-PLAN. Securities through Money Concepts Capital Corp., member FINRA SIPC. CK Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah, and I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com. Okay, Mariana, we are back, and I have a bit of an introspective question for you. Kind of get into your head a little bit here. If you woke up tomorrow and you were a vehicle, actually manifested as a car, what would you be and why?
Oh, that's a fun question. I think I'd be a Land Rover Defender. I love traveling and exploring. Yeah. I love traveling and exploring lesser known places. So it's a car that really speaks to those parts of my personality. It's also British, and my entire family history is British on both parents' side, going back as far as the 1600s. So I think that would be probably what I'd be.
Yeah. This makes sense. That answer is perfect for you because for a lady who's been all over the world and seen so many things. I mean, that's a vehicle that can be found all over the world, always has been. I mean, in the deepest jungles all the way up to in front of Buckingham Palace. So, or the shopping malls in front of Nordstrom down in Southern California. They're all over the place. So I think that's great. Awesome. Well, we're entering what I call the last lap. You've been on some track events. You've been doing some driving. You know what this is all about. I'm going to fire off a series of questions and ask you to give our listeners some quick blips of the throttle. Maybe the Porsche throttle might be a little more fun, but the Range Rover would be fine too. What's the best automotive advice you've ever received?
Well, I don't want to sound biased, but I think it's true. Join the Porsche Club or any car club for that matter, depending on the brand of choice. My first impression of the club was that it was a bunch of guys getting together to talk about the technical aspects of the car. And there are definitely those who do that, but it's so much more. Through the club, I've been able to forge some of the most rewarding friendships. And we do so many fun things, from trips to socials, drives. And, that doesn't really only apply locally. Last year, I went on a trip to South Africa and contacted the Cape Town Porsche Club just to see what was going on. And they actually had a drive to Franschhoek, which is their wine country region near Cape Town, happening, and invited me to drive along. And that was a phenomenal experience. That's not just me because I'm the president of the club. We've had members go to Ireland, and the Ireland Club welcomed them as much as with open arms as they did with me. And we've also welcomed people here from the clubs in Singapore and the Philippines, Australia, Germany, Scotland, Sweden, and so many others. So you have a community that seems really small, seems really specific, but we have so many of the similar values, and we appreciate a lot of the same types of experiences that you end up having friends all over the world.
Yeah, it's really, really true. Our local president up here, Doug Andresen, I was just talking to him about this the other day, and we were talking about women, and he said, because of the changing atmosphere, there are more and more women in the automotive sector, working in the automotive field, having interest in automobiles. And he's been trying with our local club to convince, let's say, the older folks that, women are an important part of this club. We need to direct things to them. And one of the things that he did with our local Porsche Spiel newsletter was one of the recent covers had a woman on it. I mean, usually it just has a car pictured. And it was like, whoa, you're going to put a person, much less a woman? Why did you do that? Well, because women make half of the buying decisions, or if it's in my house, probably all of them, I guess so. That's why I've been married 35 years. I'm a smart guy. So, it's a really important thing. And I always tell people, you're right, Mariana, that join a car club. I mean, it's not just a bunch of tech guys sitting around talking about horsepower and stats and things like that. There's all sorts of different things you can get involved with that are really, really fun. And Jamie June, who I mentioned, she's got a local group up here where these women go out on drives during the week in exotic cars, Ferraris, McLarens, Porsches, all sorts of different things. And they really have a lot of fun. So there's a lot more than you think when it comes to a car club. How about one of your personal habits you believe has contributed to your many successes over the years?
Oh gosh, that's easy. It's curiosity. Just be curious.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's the way I grew up, where there were a lot of unknowns, the language, where we'd go next, what the culture would be like. But being curious and having a sense of adventure and really allowing or pushing yourself to go on that journey has made me infinitely richer. It's not always something that's easy or makes you feel comfortable or safe, but you'll come out on the other side a much richer and interesting, and I think resilient and fulfilled person as well.
Oh, yeah. It's so important. I've always said, if you ever have a chance to travel anywhere, always take it. Like you say, it may not be the best trip, may not be the greatest thing, but you're going to learn something. And I think one of the best things that my wife and I ever did was our children, when they were in their senior years of high school, went off and studied abroad and got to experience that. My son was in South Africa. My daughter was in Europe. And even my wife, who grew up in a military family, traveled a lot, and they lived in South America for about 3.5 years. And she said that was some of the best times for her. She was in high school, which can be a very difficult time, especially for young people. But she said it was one of the best times she ever had in her life, was going down there and experience different cultures, learning about different things, getting to see and smell and taste and do all this different stuff. It was really scary at first, she said, but she didn't even want to come back. So Yeah, you're very fortunate to have grown up in the family you have. How about a resource? Is there one you'd like to share with our listeners? I kind of think I know what it might be.
You know, I'm going to say the club, right?
Well, I'm more about accelerating change, but yeah, the club for sure.
Okay. So, well, I guess there are two resources. One is the club. It's a place to make friends and learn about the car if that's what you're interested in, but also accelerating change, and when Christine and I founded Accelerating Change, we really wanted to create a vehicle for women to come together and experience the automotive community in a different way, in a way that's from a woman's perspective, with the intention of giving them a certain level of comfort and confidence that they could go out and join the co-ed experiences. I think that's a resource that's necessary and is not easily found throughout the United States. What we're trying to achieve is really bringing more women into the automotive space, because there is absolutely room for everyone, all genders, all races, all levels of passion.
Yeah. Now, if I could arrange for you to sit down and have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased, who would it be?
I think that would be Ayrton Senna. He was born in Brazil, as I was. And I have to say, even though I didn't live there for very long, to this day, Senna is a national hero. And the weight of his loss really is carried to this day in everyone's heart. Not only was he an exceptional driver, and there's a tremendous amount of admiration around the world for him, what I'd really love is to hear his thoughts and what moved him on always striving to excel and compete against himself, always working towards closing the gap between him and perfection. And I'd love to hear him share that story firsthand. And
I love Ayrton Senna, one of my favorite F1 drivers. In fact, on the back of my business cards is an Ayrton Senna quote, which I've always loved and has great meaning for me. And the quote is, "The past is just data. I only see the future."
I love that.
Yeah. I like him quite a bit. He's a great guy. How about a book? Is there a book you've read that you think our listeners would enjoy?
Sure. It's not an automotive book, but Peter Mayle. Peter Mayle, he passed last year. He was a British author, and he wrote the Provence series. So, Toujours Provence, Encore Provence. And his journalistic style and the ability to capture humor and challenges really spoke to me. His books make me laugh so hard, I've cried. And to this day, even I laugh by myself like a crazy person when I remember parts of it. It's fun. It's an easy read, but it's oh so delicious.
I love it. Great. I'll make sure I put a link to all of these on Mariana's show notes page on the Cars Yeah website. All right, we are up to the checkered flag, and I've got a fun question for you to ponder. Today, I'm going to buy you any cool collector car on the planet. Doesn't matter who owns it or where it is. I'm going to park it in your garage. But there are some rules to my game, because it is my game, that you have to abide by that might make your choice a little more interesting. One is you can't sell it to buy a bunch of other toys with. You have to drive it. No garage queens allowed around here. And it's the only cool collector car you can park in your garage. So what can I buy you today, Mariana?
I'll take a 1957 Porsche 356, please.
Okay. Well, one of my favorite cars. I like that very much. 1957 Porsche 356. Now, which model would you like? Because 57, they made a couple cars there. I know what I would pick. Would it be the Speedster, or do you want a coupe?
The coupe with a 4-cam engine, to be specific.
Oh, gosh. I was afraid you're going to make this an expensive date here today. Yeah, with a Carrera. Yeah, very unique, rare car. Very expensive car, but very, very cool. And I suppose you're going to want me to send a mechanic with that, because those engines are a little tricky to keep tuned, right?
You know what? I will take that. But you have to drive the car. I mean, Those design lines are exceptional. And from what I've read, the performance was second to none. So I would love to experience that firsthand.
Yeah. Now, do you want a convertible in that, or do you want a coupe?
Coupe, for sure.
Coupe. Yeah. Very nice. Okay, cool. I'll get to work. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge. There's not too many of those out there, but I had a feeling this is going to be something unique and special. And you certainly have tugged on my heartstrings, because I would love to have a 356. I've never had one before. Always wanted one, but they become so expensive. It's like, but that's okay. For you, anything for you, Mariana. You've taken us on a great ride today all around the world. I think it's been fantastic. Really enjoyed your stories. I want to thank you for sharing your life with us today. Could you give us a little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you drive off into the California sunset in that 57 Carrera Coupe?
Sure. And thank you for having me, Mark. As I mentioned to you before, I think you pressed record. You're the first interview I've done this way, and I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
But the parting words, I would say, embrace the adventures. You'll come out much richer on the other side.
Absolutely. And I'll remind our listeners the best way to find out more about Mariana and Accelerating Change is go to their website. I'll put links to that on her show notes page. Just go to carsyeah.com and also, of course, visit the PCA website and the Porsche Club of Los Angeles region, where Mariana is in charge with her teammates there, having some fun with Porsches and doing lots of events. I've got to get my turbo down there one of these weekends. In fact, I was going to go to Luftgekühlt this past year, and I ended up having a family issue. I couldn't make it. I always thought I wanted to take my car down for that event and then visit the Porsche Experience Center and do all the different events that are around Luftgekühlt. Maybe next year. I'll put that on my calendar. How's that sound?
That sounds great, but you'll have to include some event with a club as well. So I hope you join us.
Absolutely. Sounds like fun. Mariana, thanks again for being so generous today with your time, your expertise, and for sharing your many life experiences with the listeners here. Until you and I talk again, my friend, I'll see you down the road.
Thank you so much, Mark, and I look forward to seeing you in person as well.
Hey, it'll be great fun. Go Porsche! Hey, Mark Green here from Cars Yeah. Did you know you can now see me on the Cars Yeah TV show? It's a weekly visit to some of my past Cars Yeah podcast guests, and I take you along for the ride. You go behind the garage door and into their lives, their businesses, and you get to see what makes them successful. With tens of millions of viewers, Cars Yeah TV is making its mark. Cars Yeah TV is available on MAV TV and Lucas Oil Racing TV. You'll find MAV TV on Direct TV, Fubo TV, Fios by Verizon, or you can stream it through Lucas Oil Racing Television online. And they said I only had a face for podcasting.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.